This is Jay with Car Guys New England, and today we're going to be working on the Caprice. All right, so here's what we got going on with the Caprice. Got another set of upper control arms we're gonna put on, and then we're gonna travel over to the shed, and we are going to start assembling the new piston pumps for the car. So one of the first things I'm going to do is install the DC motors on this, but I am going to use this conductive paste that I have in the motor coupler to the pump head. The reason for that is what I'm starting to see, even though this isn't anodized, on some setups that were anodized, I have seen that they're not grounding properly, even though the threads were masked. And what we want to do is make sure that we get a good ground. So I'm going to put this paste on. I'm just going to take some of this conductive paste. I'm just going to gob it in here. Like that. I'm going to take a little on the pump head side, and then we're just going to install that in here. So that's ready to go, and I will do the second one, and then I will end up installing the motors. Okay, there we go. So we got this special dual post motor from No Limit Fabrications. The motor's just cold, so there's condensation on it because it's been out in the shed. But now that I got the conductive paste and the coupler in, now I'm going to just fit this motor onto the pump, which I'll give it a shot here as far as trying to get this to line up nicely. Okay, and that might be a problem. So I'm going to clock the motor a little bit differently because there is another position on this block to do so. So we're just going to rotate. And it will go on this way. So just get the thread started on it. Using a 10mm socket, we're just going to tighten up our motors. Get that on there. And you don't want to go too tight because you are tightening into aluminum, and you can strip out the aluminum. So not only do we have a ground post on these motors, but also they've been insulated on the inside, and they're also, the windings are reinforced so they don't come apart. So these are going to be some excellent motors for hopping. Now that I have the tank, you can see that the inside is pretty raw, and what I'm going to do is use an engine hone to clean this out so it's a smoother surface for the piston inside the tank. All right, so one thing to keep in mind as you're doing this, don't go too deep to this fitting. You want to get it close, but you also don't want the hone heads to hit that on the inside. So we're going to go and start honing this. There we go. So we've honed the inside of the tank. Didn't want to go too crazy, but it's definitely smoother all the way to the fitting on there. So now I'm just going to clean this out really good, and then we can start installing the piston into the tank. So I have this 5-star Marine Teflon grease. I'm going to grease the inside of the tank. That way the piston can slide freely back and forth on this now much smoother surface. So literally, I'll just squeeze it out, and then I'll end up working this in with my fingers. Okay, I'm just going to spread that as much as we can. And as we push in the piston, we'll be able to kind of coat all the surfaces in here. So we have our piston, and I also got the same grease, and I'm just going to apply that over the O-ring surfaces. Now, on this particular piston, it says oil side, and then you also have the air side. So the air side is going to be at the end, and we're just going to gently try to get this seated into the tank. It might take a little finagling. Okay, and now our piston is installed. So before we put the tank on, make sure that we take out this plug on the bottom of the pump head. Otherwise, that would have been a really, really, really big problem. And I don't have fingernails, so it's going to be a little tough for me to get out. I should be able to get it though now. Okay, there it is. We got oil coming out. All right, so we got our piston, and got the actual piston installed the correct way in there. And I also greased the inside of the tank. So now it's going to be a lot easier to slip that on. All right, so the entire piston pump is assembled. So because this has a top return and no Schrader valve, I have to run a Schrader valve on the tank return here. So that basically will just fit in there as a tank plug, and then I can put air to reset the piston in there. So that'll work out beautifully. And now I just got to install the gauge and the Schrader valve to fill the piston side. All right, so we're just tightening up the Schrader valve, nice and tight. We're good. All right, Schrader valve is installed. Now we'll install the gauge. All right, so we put the thread locker, the hydraulic Loctite and pneumatic Loctite on the gauge. So now we're just going to install the gauge. Get it cranked tight on here. We're almost there. There we go. The piston pumps are fully assembled. Now I can turn my attention back to the Caprice now that these are good. All right, guys, so that's a wrap for today's video where we built some custom piston pumps for the Caprice. We're going to be continuing this series. I need to get back to changing out the upper control arms. Unfortunately, I kind of ran out of time today to even get to that, just because I was working on so much. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give the video a like. If you have questions or comments, be sure to comment down below. This is Jay with Car Guys New England. Until next time, take care.